We're back at the U.S. Africa Business Forum here in the Nerve Center, the Bloomberg Google Hangout, where we're grabbing CEOs, heads of state, other random passersby to talk with you online. Right now, we're lucky to be joined in studio by Mr. James Mwangi, who is the Group CEO of Equity Bank from Kenya, and also Tom Klein, the CEO of Sabre. Travelers may be familiar with your company. I'm sure a lot of them are, who's traveled a long way from New Jersey originally. Thank you both for being here. You guys are both participants in this, and I'm curious for the folks at home. What's it like? What's the vibe here in the summit? What have the panels been like so far? What have you learned that's been interesting? I think, Mr. Mwangi, I'll start with you.
Thank you very much. The last 2 days have been very interesting, where the African business community, the American business community, and our political leaders, we meet together and articulate relationships going forward between U.S. and Africa. I must say it has been very exciting because we are not dealing with perceptions. We're now dealing with relationships, very specific deals are happening, clarity on issues that people would like to explore, and perception is taking a back seat. So it's reality for once.
And Mr. Klein, what are your perceptions so far? Your realities, I should say.
Well, like Dr. Mwangi said, I mean, it's all about optimism and excitement about the future of Africa, and I think and it's also about education. I think U.S. businesses in general are underweighted in Africa based on what the future opportunity is, and it's one of the reasons I came, because I wanted to see firsthand and hear firsthand from our counterparts in Africa about some of the exciting opportunities that they're seeing in their countries.
Let's talk a little bit about technology. We hear so much about the future in Africa in terms of telecommunications, in terms of electronic banking, in terms of the infrastructure that's needed for those things and physical infrastructure. But there are a lot of people who don't have access to the internet, maybe less so to mobile phones. What are the challenges in terms of, I should ask you, particularly with banking, but also with travel, what are the challenges in terms of getting services to consumers, getting consumers paying for those services, and how do you overcome those?
Africa has been very lucky in terms of technology. One, it has a very young population, so absorption of technology, adaptation has been very, very easy, because this is a population that has an average age of 25 years. Bulk of it is in school. The second one, Africa has no legacy challenges with technology. We have no technology that we are replacing. So we are frogging on new technologies and new innovations. And that has put Africa on the edge of innovation. And that's why things like mobile has become very, very a space for innovation in Africa. Africa is also lucky that literally we have about 550 million phones. That means that we have more phones than are there in America or in Western Europe. And it's this device that we have seen as a channel for delivering services to the population. If you look at Kenya, mobile money is relying on the phone and the telecommunication. If we look now, people are focusing on market information, again being passed through the phone. Education and capacity building, again, through the phone as a channel of delivery. So I would say innovation, technology is sitting well with Africa.
And do you think the access is good enough right now?
Access is reasonably good, but can, of course, be better. What we have is basic technology, and as I said, particularly the mobile technology. What we really need to invest on is the complex, sophisticated technology to simulate and deal with complex issues. That is where there is a huge challenge, and that is what we are seeking partnerships with, for instance, with America, to provide us with the back end of the tools, while the mobile solutions provide the front end. So complex systems, particularly analytics, complex simulations on health, complex simulation in engineering, that is the technology that we think America would provide Africa.
And Mr. Klein, what's your take on that in terms of access? Are you able to reach consumers all across Africa? Are there places where that's better and worse? What are the challenges for you, and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. One, certainly we'll see a skipped right to mobile, right? So where there's this evolution going on in a lot of markets, and certainly mobile's growing everywhere. I think in a place like Africa, you'll skip the desktop experience and move right to mobile. But I think you have to also look for places that have, basic access to important services like infrastructure around electricity. That's the first step, and then having the increasing bandwidth and getting to where consumers can do more and more sophisticated things with their mobile devices is an evolution that will happen. And certainly the consumer base and the youth of the continent suggests that, as my colleague here said, suggests that we'll see great adoption and really, again, kind of skipping a whole generation of technology and seeing Africa maybe jump ahead and leapfrog a lot of other emerging markets.
One last question for you. Did you ever think that you would see a grandson of Kenya elected president of the United States? What was that like when President Obama was elected? Was that a big moment in Kenya?
I think it was a big moment for Africa. One, it reflected acceptance that the barriers that may have been perceived to do with race and all that is behind us. The second one, it demonstrated that the world now acknowledge and recognize capability and ability beyond where one comes from. And it was a great moment for the continent because it demonstrated that the world, the universe is open to Africa. The acceptance is there, and that race, color has no place in the modern world. And I think for the American people, that was a huge demonstration of openness between the black Americans and generally America.
Thank you so much. It's a nice note to end on. James Mwangi, the Group CEO of Equity Bank, Tom Klein, CEO of Sabre. Thank you both for joining us. We will be right back on the Bloomberg Google Hangout here from the U.S. Africa Business Forum in Grand Central Station, right between the CEOs and the heads of state here at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Washington, D.C.